welcome to Against the Fence. My name's Sai, and this is JK, and here we're about to break down for you UFC 302, Makhachev versus Poirier. You guys are locking into a breakdown show over here at ATF, and this is a particularly interesting one because it could be the Diamond's last chance at top of the division. It could be his last chance at getting the belt. Everything rides in it. He's had a similar matchup once before when he went up against Khabib, but, you know, he's facing what looks like could be Khabib 2.0. So is it possible to get it done? We don't know, but we're going to be going into that in absolute detail as we go through the fight card and break it all down. But welcome in once again, guys. Chuck some chats down there as well. It's good to see you. Say hi. And JK, just quickly from you, man, what do you rate this card?
I put it in our thing on the chats. I didn't share it during the fan discussion the other night. It was good to listen to some of the hardcore fans out there when we had on the show. I think I put it down as a 6.
6 out of 10?
Yeah.
Okay. As far as pay-per-views go, I quite like the card, to be fair. I'll give it higher than 6 myself.
I think on paper, you've got obviously the main and co-main are the big ones. The rest of them a little bit lackluster in terms of for a main card. When you dive into them, you do realise they are going to surprise you on the night, and I can guarantee you it.
Yeah, I reckon I might get interested in the Kevin Holland, Michał, Oleksiejczuk, but otherwise a snooze fest for me. Jailton, Almeida versus Romanov. You know,
there are some intriguing elements to that fight, which we'll get into in just a sec.
Excited for that one.
Because, you know, yes, they're two guys who are very good on the ground, but we could end up seeing a striking display out of the two of them. So I wouldn't sleep on it. You never know. But, of course, it's not exactly one that's going to open the main card, nor should it headline a prelim. So, yeah, I think it's in the right spot.
Yeah. Any chats? You guys in the chat, say hi. This show is an interactive show, so if you have any opinions, any questions, or you want to chime in on what you think is going to happen to put certain people on the card, then look, put it in the chats below. Yes. We'll have to read out here on screen. We're going to go through the card now from the bottom to the top. So the first fight up, we'll get into the breakdown of who's on the card, what's happening. But ultimately, we're going to go to the gauges too and look who's got the strengths where. So about this show, it's not telling you what to think, but teaching you how to think. So play along with us, guys. Get stuck in. So first fight up, JK. Randy versus Dos Santos. There's a lot of syllables. If I was to say his full name, I'd probably fail drastically. Can you do it? Can you say
Randy Brown against Elizeu Zaleski Dos Santos.
There it is. All right, so Randy Brown in the red corner, he's 18-5-0, and in the blue corner with Dos Santos, he's 24-7. This guy is a veteran. Don't think otherwise. Don't get me wrong. Now, of course, you've got the physically tall and just blessed with his lanky attributes. Randy Brown with 78 inches in reach. So that's going to be a 5-inch advantage over Dos Santos, to be fair. And he's going to have the height advantage as well, quite significantly. So this particular fight, how do you reckon it's going to play out? I mean, one of the tallest and longest problems in the division, of course, that's Randy Brown. He plays really well to his advantages, as you know. And in the last 5 years, he's only been taken down once, which tells you that he knows how to fight his fight. So will it be rinse and repeat for this long, lethal limbed launcher? Or do you reckon he's got something else up his sleeve for this?
Well, you know, since that loss against Jack Della Maddalena, where he got caught in that fight and submitted by a guy who's predominantly a boxer, he's kind of looked better than ever because his win after that was against Wellington Turman, who's predominantly a grappler, and he took him to a decision. Turman was dropping down to welterweight for the first time, I think, in his career during that fight. And, you know, and in the Muslim Salikov fight, he just kind of, you know, literally put him on blast. You know, the one-shot knockout that he put him away was very, very impressive. So we're seeing new leaves to Randy Brown's game. I think he's kind of not getting as flustered in there as much and is really kind of putting his range to good use in these fights now. And I think against a veteran of the game against Elizeu Zaleski Dos Santos, who's been around for a while, fought some good names, but just hasn't been as active. He's a tricky customer, and I think we're going to see an all-out striking affair in this one.
Yeah, it would make sense for him to mix in the wrestling and the takedowns, but, is he cut from that cloth? We don't see a lot of it. If you look here at how he gets the fights done, a lot of them are actually by either knockout or decision. In fact, it is Randy Brown who's favored in the submission game there, and that sizes up. And then if you look at the striking significance as well, yeah, it does favor Dos Santos just a little bit. But grappling, of course, you can see it's no one's particular forte. And that takedown defense of Randy Brown is just pretty damn good.
Yeah, and, Zaleski to Santos got very good takedown defense in himself. In this fight, I think the most intriguing parts of this fight will be dished out in the clinch exchanges. Both guys are very strong in there. And, of course, you've got Randy Brown, who's very tall and long and utilizes that clinch very well. So I would kind of edge Randy Brown in the clinch scenarios. Should it be on end up in that way, but I think it's going to be
just because it's
quite
physical
tight.
attributes.
Yeah.
I mean, physically is a bit of a problem, and I can see that because, of course, for Dos Santos, what he's going to want to do is take Randy Brown's best tools out of play, and that would be not letting him strike at range.
Yeah.
So I guess for the veteran, and he is a veteran, isn't he? It's Dos Santos. He really is. He's been around for a while. At the same time, I find him to be a bit of the under the radar prospect. Like, he's been fighting some of the tough competition coming through. Like, these are other prospects that are expected to do really well in the UFC, and Dos Santos has been able to stand up to them. Like, this next generation of fighter, it's been great. But also, if you look at his resume, there's dangerous opposition down there. There's BSD, there's Strickland, there's Li Jingliang, all of which he's
Benoit
fought.
Saint-Denis, for those who don't know who BSD is.
Yes, exactly. And, these guys are ranked, they're dangerous, and they're up there. So I reckon it's just down to his inactivity, which is why we're not seeing Dos Santos up there. But my question for you really is, do you think after this fight we can see a number next to his name?
No, not yet. I don't think so. I mean, this is kind of literally a place. If you were to extend the rankings past 15, these guys would probably sit just outside. I'd always felt that Randy Brown was just outside, but I don't think he'll get a ranking next to his name come Tuesday, should he beat Randy Brown. I think Randy Brown would probably be deserving of a fight against a ranked opponent should he win this fight.
Interesting.
Or either winner, I think.
I think he would, because his last loss was to JDM, right? Jack Della Maddalena, and he's ranked, of course, and he's up there.
Ranked now, but he wasn't at the time, I don't think, unless he was just at the bottom.
I have to agree with you. I have to say
test.
These guys are just outside the ranking. I would love to see, mainly because of Dos Santos' performance against, who's that guy, the last person he fought? It was that kind of Sambo style Russian wrestler.
Against Sadikov, Muslim Sadikov.
Yeah. Oh no, no, that one. That was Randy Brown. Who got the win on there? But I'm on about.
That was Finat Fakhretdinov.
That's the guy.
Yeah.
The guy. Yes.
Yeah, he was just outside of the rankings as well.
It was a draw, mind you. Yes, it was
very close fight. Very close fight. He got dropped in the first round in that one, came back, controlled it. I think Fakhretdinov was getting ahead of himself a lot during those exchanges. And Dos Santos showed us what he's made of in that fight. Yeah. Welcome on in. We got Ash, who's got says, thanks, JKV Legend. This should be a crazy fight. Angus is in the house. This is Yo-Yo back for the pay-per-view hype. TWM is in the house as they could drop Holland out of at 15 after he fights at 185 and slot the winner of this in there. So that's a very interesting take there, TWM. So
that's not a bad idea.
I'm just getting the rankings up on my page so I can actually see who's at the bottom
and
just give you guys a little bit of a tickling of what could come should there be should the winner fight.
Yeah, but also when you look at that as well, bear this in mind. If he does get the loss, do you think he should try his luck in another weight class? So when you get the divisions up, Benoit Saint-Denis, he went to lightweight division, and of course they had fought. You got Strickland, and he's fought him, and he's in the middleweight division. So does he follow BSD perhaps into the lightweight division if he gets a loss here?
My answer to that would be no, because he is 37 years old. Time is ticking for Zaleski dos Santos. So I think he needs to stay at this weight class. And
he's dangerous.
He's still dangerous, but I think a lot of answers we'll get a lot of answers from in this fight against Randy Brown, who's obviously much younger, very slicker, in a very good position in his career at the moment.
Yep.
But yeah, looking at the bottom of the rankings, Kevin Holland, of course, should slip out. You're probably right, TWM, but you got Facete, Luque, Marco Venom Page, Neil Magny,
the thing is,
Joaquin Buckley. So, a fight with Neil Magny would be good for either of these guys.
The thing is,
whoever is victorious.
Holland slips out, it's Michał who slips in. It says it's who he's fighting tonight is going to slip in, most likely.
No, because that fight is contested at middleweight.
Oh, okay. So it's not even
It's not welterweight.
Oh, of course, you're right. Yeah.
Morning, Breezy. Welcome on in, brother. Let's hear your predictions and thoughts for this fight between Randy Brown and Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. EZDS. There you go.
More acronyms.
Yeah, but let's get into the gauge for this then, because striking-wise,
I've got to give it to him.
It's very tough. I'll give it to Randy Brown.
Got to.
Yeah.
So he's going to be using it the most. And then if you're looking at grappling, on paper,
Dos Santos is a black belt. So is Randy Brown now.
I think. He is. If it on paper, it would look like actually Randy Brown, who does more, has better takedown accuracy and a higher submission average on paper. That is. But in terms of who's going to be using it more in this fight to get the win, to get a dub, it's got to be Dos Santos.
Yeah, and I think Dos Santos actually needs to enforce some grappling in this. We've not seen it for a little while, and I think it would be an area that he can exploit against Randy Brown, who he probably needs to exploit.
That and the leg kick. He needs to be attacking that lead leg of his,
of course,
as the opposite forwards. That's going to be a vital way to down the opponent. But yeah, I think in this matchup, most likely. And power, though, I think I might have to resort to what it says on paper for this one as well. Because it does look...
I would probably say Randy Brown on this. I mean...
As of late, he's been putting people away. And
cardio would probably give Dos Santos to cardio.
Yeah, okay, we can do that. But for Dos Santos, he's been a bit of a decision merchant recently. And Randy Brown does have that sniping power at range.
Do you think he can still crack though late into the fight? Does Dos Santos?
So
that's why I'd give it cardio to him. I'd probably give power to Randy Brown and speed to Randy Brown.
I could go either way on power, to be fair, but speed, I think, Randy Brown. Grappling, Dos Santos. But yeah, ultimately, I just think it's something who's going to be using a lot more in this. But power can go either side.
Hit that like button, folks. If you agree with us, let us know in the chats. If you disagree as well, do let us know why. It'd be interesting to get your thoughts and opinions on this. Let's move on then to the second fight on this main card between Jailton Almeida and Alexander Romanov.
This is your heavyweight bout. All right. So red corner, Jailton Almeida. He is 20-3. Blue corner, Romanov. He's actually 17-2. So the big advantages here is probably going to be in that reach advantage for Jailton Almeida. Not that he's going to use it much, but it's going to be 4 inches there. And but everything else kind of matches up fairly evenly. I mean, you're talking about Jailton Almeida being a wrestler style, and also Romanov having a bit of a wrestler style as well. He's got, I think, about 11 or so submissions, Romanov, if I'm not mistaken. But I guess, from one to watch, I feel like Jailton Almeida has been one to sleep on recently. I guess it was controversially to how he bursted onto the scene. He was a particular problem at heavyweight when it started out, but he kind of just sat on Lewis for 25 minutes, and we all got a bit bored of it.
Yeah.
So my question really, bro, when will Jailton Almeida show us some striking, and is this the matchup to do it in?
I think this is the matchup to do it in. And not only that, I think Romanov's been lacking a little bit in confidence recently. Since he took his first loss against Marcin Tybura, who's a guy who could actually kind of do well in transitions on the ground against him. And he kind of gassed out and ended up losing the fight. I think, and what kind of was weird for me is in the last one against Blagoy Ivanov, he got the decision win, but he kind of stood up and struck with him for majority of the fight.
He only
so
got
we're seeing
2
something
takedowns
different. He did get only 2 takedowns, yeah, but the majority of the fight was contested on the feet. So I'm thinking maybe because it's 2 guys who like to grapple, we're going to see more on the feet here, and perhaps Jailton and Almeida, we could see more striking from him. And of course, I think he's going to be a little bit more athletic than Romanov. I think he's going to be able to withstand a lot of his strikes and really do some damage to the body, I think.
Yeah, okay, that's not a bad analysis, to be fair, because I think if you do go to the body on someone like Romanov, you can probably advance, or you can get somewhere with it. But if you do look at what Romanov is looking at, it's a huge opportunity. You know, he's 7th, he can win here. He's, it's just massive for him to jump up. He can jump into 7th because that's where Almeida is.
Yeah.
But I guess it's an opportunity for Almeida too to get back to winning ways. You know, I can't say I'm excited for it, to be fair, but stylistically, both these guys, they're quite physical with their opposition, so they're dominating those wrestling exchanges. And, you know, in terms of the grappling, you reckon Romanov comes out on top? Do you reckon Jailton Almeida comes out on top?
No, I can see Jailton doing it. I think he's more explosive, he's more athletic than Romanov, and I think he probably would be the one to likely engage with it more.
You don't think that it will cancel each other out? Because sometimes that happens.
They can do, but I think he can get takedowns because Jailton has been able to take down some of the biggest guys.
If we look at some of the numbers here in terms of the grappling, yeah, it's been the bread and butter of Jailton Almeida since day dot, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, the Shamil Abdurakhimov fight was one because Abdurakhimov's a big dude, heavyweight as well, and the way he was able to kind of manhandle him, even still, was surprising. Yeah, but I think it would be more or less out of a respect thing, should they decide to strike. And plus, you know, when you look at that last fight from Almeida, he was initiating the wrestling more than Curtis Blades.
I mean, yeah,
he was up against the cage when Curtis Blades decides to land those hard elbows into the side of the head.
Hammer fist.
He damaged the hammer fist even to the side of the head and really knock off his equilibrium. Was he able to put him away? So, you know, is Almeida going to be a little bit more hesitant in this one with those sort of exchanges? So, you know, and maybe it could be a fight that would feel like more confident on scoring.
I reckon. I mean, initially I thought he was going to have trouble, you know, being physical with Romanov because the size of the guy. He's heavy, he's difficult, he's awkward, and that's how he uses his body weight in his wrestling advantageously against most of his opponents. But, you know, we've seen him down the likes of Lewis, and I reckon it might be a clinch scenario in a trip. And, you know, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Of course. All of a sudden he's on top.
And it's going to be harder when after Romanov gasses as well, which I would anticipate later on in the fight. So, yeah, which gives us to the gauges. Straight away, we're giving Almeida the cardio in this.
Yep.
Quite confidently.
Because we've seen, not through faith of how good he is, but just seen how bad Romanov is. But also, he's done a 5 round, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Almeida.
In fact, I'd probably give Almeida every single one in every category, really, even including striking as well.
No, I don't know if I can. Nope, I'm sorry. I can't give him strike. We've not seen it. We've not really seen it. Not to the degree where it's satisfying enough. We've seen Romanov do striking. In his last fight, we've seen
Jailton strike wild.
Yeah, and we just not seen him use it in anything other than to set up the takedown. And I just can't. Let's have a look what it says on paper. Significant strikes. Yeah, it's almost double for Romanov, to be fair. It looks really good for Romanov in terms of the striking.
Power's going to have to go out.
But grappling, though, yeah, I think that makes sense because it's just the only way he knows how to do it historically. Power.
I'm sure he will outstrike Romanov this weekend. Guarantee you it.
In fact, wins by knockout is kind of on par for both these guys, to be fair. But who do you reckon is going to be having the power in this?
Definitely Almeida.
Okay, and I guess you're going to give him speed as well.
Yeah.
I could do that, but I could probably flip on power as well, to be fair. What do you guys think in the chats? I could go either way with power. It's...
Ash says, I still don't see Almeida stand. He will take him down with ease. Round 1 sub. Breezy says, it will be interesting to see how Jailton reacts to the last fight. Guy was on his way to a title fight, needs a big finish here to get back on track. And I've got to agree, really. I mean, you know...
Well said.
It was unfortunate that he lost to Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades has been, I think, a dark horse in this heavyweight division for quite some time. But I still think there's room for Almeida to climb up there, you know? I really do. Because he's what? He's ranked where?
Almeida in the heavyweight?
He's ranked at number 7.
Yes.
Still quite low. Above him, you got Stipe, Volkov, then Blades and Pavlovich. So look, a win there, you're looking at a potential fight against the winner or even
loser
or Pavlovich against Volkov. So
yeah,
you know, and yeah, I think both of those fights look pretty good for Almeida.
Yep. Cyril Gane needs to get back in there pretty soon as well, but
yeah, Cyril, I think should be headlining UFC Paris.
Save him for that, yeah.
I don't know who he's going to fight, though. My guess, it could be Derek Lewis.
Do you reckon?
I mean, looking at this division now, there is no one. Unless you get Jailton Almeida, quick turnaround, and they do Almeida versus Gane in Paris.
Yeah, I can see that happening, but yeah, it would have to have a quick turnaround.
Yeah, that would be my guess. I don't think they'd do Romanov.
Huge opportunity for him, though, if Almeida gets the dub on this one. But fair enough. And how many fights win streaks is Romanov on at the moment? He's what? He's not right. Oh, yeah. Okay, 1 win streak.
Ash says,
that's right.
Just think also, lads, we could have seen Almeida versus Aspinall in Manchester if Almeida didn't lose. True that. That's a good take there, to be fair.
I don't know. I'm not sure we would.
Well, yeah, because if he beat Blades, he's there.
Oh,
he's there for the belt. He's there for the belt.
True, but I also think that Tom Aspinall wanted this refight, this fight with Curtis Blades. The thing was, Aspinall was pretty. I think Aspinall he still would have won the card, wouldn't he? It's just his sights were set on gold. He didn't want anything else than what gold. He's interim champ at the moment, so I don't know if he'll be digging that low in the division. But yeah, with Curtis Blades, that holds some weight because that was a bit of a fluky loss.
Yeah, right. Breezy says Aspinall would have smoked Jailton on the feet, though. TWM says Tybura versus Gane. Both European. Also, Tybura just beat Ty in a main event. That is true. To be fair, as I did wrap up that kind of bit, I did realise Tybura's name in there, and I do think that would make a lot of sense. However, I just think it's just a little bit of a cop-out fight, in my opinion. I know Tybura can force wrestling exchanges if he wants, and that's going to be sort of his way to victory against Gane. It's just the way that Gane moves is similar, of course, on the feet to Aspinall in terms of speed, and I just feel like we're going to get a similar kind of event, you know?
Yep.
All right, let's move on.
Should we get next one on? Let's have a look. We are looking at now the middleweight division. I keep seeing Holland and thinking.
Well, no, we are thinking the middleweight division. This is going to be our middleweight. So,
so looking at Holland, I do think welterweight. But in the middleweight division, Kevin Holland is up against Michał Oleksiejczuk. Now in the red corner, it's Holland. He's 25-11, and in the blue corner, you have the Michał, the Polish power, 19-7. In terms of the difference here, it's that reach advantage you're looking at for Holland. Freakish as it is, gonna sneeze. Nope. Yes. Nope. It's all good. Freakish as that reach advantage is, he's talking around 7-inch reach advantage. Probably the biggest advantage we've seen on the card for a minute. But that's significant. That's quite significant. And you can imagine Holland is going to want to be working with that throughout the fight. He's going to want to be punching behind that jab, keeping that complete range, just making sure Michał is not going to be getting too close and doing any damage. But go on.
I with this fight, I'm not surprised that Holland's going back up to middleweight, to be honest. I could see it coming because it's when you look at Kevin Holland, you think surely he's not the most disciplined person in the world. And he was having some success at welterweight, and I really was rooting for him to stick around and get some solid wins, because he did have some good wins. It for a moment looked like he was going to make a bit of a rise in the rankings, but he just kind of falls short against some of these kind of more technical strikers. So I would have liked to have seen him stick around. Not mad at this matchup though for him at middleweight. So
it's good, isn't it? It's really good. He finally got someone who's going to stand and strike with him, so that's pretty decent. Without doubt, as you're saying there, I just find him he's a bit of a people's champion. Holland, he goes out there, he takes a fight that no one else really wants to take, but he does it for the people's entertainment. And finally, this matchup I do think is quite strong. Matched with his strengths. It's a stand in a pocket puncher with a little to no wrestling or no other weapons outside of his hands, to be fair. But given that Oleksiejczuk has never actually been knocked out, do you actually reckon that the power will return for Holland in this fight? Do you reckon he'd have the ability to get it done within the distance?
I think he gets it done, but I don't think he will get the TKO victory in this. I think if he hurts him on the feet, I think he's going to go for a submission. We've seen it in his recent kind of wins, really. And Oleksiejczuk, in some of his recent losses, we've seen him get hurt and submitted. Yeah. We've also seen him come back from adversity as well, which is pretty fair. But I think the ones that kind of come to mind here is, the Michał Pereira fight, which was his last one. Before that, Kai Bahalio, Reneki choke. Yep. Jimmy Crute got Kimura on him. OSP, Von Flue choked him back in 2019, some ways ago. So, stylistically, you look at this fight, and this is a fight that Kevin Holland can get a submission win in, I think. Submission win. I was talking to Red Wolf on the old X, formerly known as Twitter, earlier, and he was saying that he thinks it could probably be a submission win as well. And it's interesting because I pointed out that as well conditioned as Oleksiejczuk is probably had his most troubling fights against heavy wrestle style of matchups, and he's losing only by submission by that one decision that he had in his wake, and that was Dustin Jacoby, I believe. So it does look like his weakness is in that wrestling style. So you definitely do think that Holland will probably use his wrestling in this? No, come on.
No? You don't?
Come on.
But you said he's going to get a choke.
Yeah, he's going to hurt him on the feet and then get the choke.
Right.
That's what I said.
Right. So you don't think it's going to be more of a wrestling?
No, it's not going to be a wrestling.
He's going to get him out of by choke, but not by knockout. Not by hands.
He's going to crack him with his hands, and then he's going to get a submission, because that's exactly what he did against Muslim Salikov. He probably could have TKO'd Muslim Salikov, but just opted to go for the was it a Darce choke? I think he finished him with
Holland.
Yeah. So I think that would be the most likely outcome.
Yeah, fair enough.
Darce Chiesa, and then knocked out Ponzinibbio with the left hook, which was pretty decent.
I'm interested to see how this mixes up on the feet, really. So if I look at the significant strikes here, you've got the output really being in favor of Oleksiejczuk. He is someone who pushes the pace. He's going to keep coming forwards. And that's great because Kevin Holland is quite fast. He's got that speed. He's just going to want to crack him that right hand as he steps in. So I do think the advantage is there. That will play into Kevin Holland's hand. But don't see any wrestling in this, not really from Michał at all.
No, and Kevin doesn't initiate it at all.
No. He can hang down there for a bit. He can survive, but it's not his go-to. Let's get the gauges up then and see what's what with each of these guys and how we rank it. Striking, because they both got it. I mean, that's why I think it's a good matchup. They both got it, but the reach advantage.
Oleksiejczuk has the potentially to be an absolute berserker at times.
He's got good
in
boxing.
His fights. He leaves the odd opening, gets a little bit too carried away sometimes. So I think that can fall into Kevin Holland's hands a little bit here, because I think Kevin Holland's capable of fighting off of his back foot and landing some good strikes in those exchanges. So that's why I kind of want to go for striking Kevin Holland.
I'd agree on that as well. Something we did put on the homework this week as well was the fact, I've seen it somewhere else. Who else does that? Another fighter on the card does it as well. But particularly, I think Strickland, but particularly for Oleksiejczuk, when he defends, he does like to put his guard up like this. And that's perfect for going to the body. Now, of course, Holland being the taller guy, it might be difficult to really reach under that low, but ultimately I would love him to rip to the body, get him to... No, that's it. In most of his recent fights, we have seen Oleksiejczuk's opponents all digging him to the body. Yeah. Because he's got great cardio. He does have fantastic cardio, and it's just been a strategy that a lot of people have identified recently in his game. So I think that, it's...
you just got to wear on him.
Too.
Yeah, for sure. But grappling-wise...
I think we've got to look at what it says on paper, really.
I think you got to I'd probably give it to Kevin Holland, really. He's got better jits.
I'd agree, because on paper it does say, I mean, it's not much, but yeah, it does put him in having an advantage for it for a little bit.
Power-wise,
Polish power, bro.
sure. Yeah, you'd think Polish power.
But then...
but then Kevin Holland's got that sneaky kind of reach kind of power.
He does.
14 knockouts for Oleksiejczuk. Pretty cool.
On paper, Oleksiejczuk's got
14 knockouts for Kevin Holland as well. So it's a difficult one.
74% of Oleksiejczuk's fights are via knockout, and 56% of Holland's are via knockout.
Is that just for the UFC alone, though?
Yeah, usually these stats tend to be, yeah. And also, to be fair, if you look at average fight time, drastically different. I would go by that if the fight time was close, but you talk about 6 minutes versus almost double of that for Kevin Holland. So we can't really weigh too much on those percentages.
Yeah, that's why I can't really take too much notice of percentages on the UFC website.
So would we then say that I want to say Kevin Holland, but I mean at this weight class too, let's bear that in mind, right? So he hasn't been
this is a middleweight.
Yeah. And we'd have to find Kevin Holland and just quickly look and see whether his knockouts were at this weight class. Power.
Oleksiejczuk probably for distance. I'll get to some chats in real quick.
So let's say in the chat, help us out.
We've got Breezy says Michał has some power, but Kevin's got a chin. Could be a really fun, slightly messy fight, this one.
I agree.
Blue belt, black belt. That is Kevin Holland. Ash says, I can see Michał putting the pressure on Holland and work on getting him to the mat. Perhaps, maybe. That'd be a different look. Lucas Tracy's in the house. Welcome on, Lucas Tracy, also known as...
How do you remember?
I've forgotten. There was another name. You did change your name.
Remind us
I know who you are, though. I know who you are. He says, has Holland really cracked anyone recently who isn't a washed old man? Woo! Big calls there.
Well, if we go back to the last time,
there, man.
Was...
I mean,
Alex Oliveira.
Ponzinibbio was getting on a bit, I guess. Tim Means, the submission, Bravo choke there. Alex Oliveira as well. Yeah, you're probably right in this. So I guess it makes it another good reason to watch this fight, because Oleksiejczuk's pretty young. How old is Oleksiejczuk? He's not that old.
No.
He's 29. So, bosh. This is what makes this fight even exciting. And, when you guys look at this main card on paper and you don't rate it that well, this is the reason we're going to tell you why it's better. Or once you look into everything that we've done. So,
to be honest, I'd say this is probably a potential fight of the night for me, just because the skill sets here, it's going to be contested on the feet. There's going to be some power in it. I will then have to go with what it says on paper, and because I just don't know where else to go with it, and give it to Oleksiejczuk when it comes to power, that Polish power. But I could confidently go speed and cardio over to Holland. Just seeing what he did against Wonderboy Thompson was 5 rounds, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was.
Well, most part of 5 rounds. It was about 4.
4, yeah, true. So cardio, to be fair, just thinking about how Oleksiejczuk moves, he does have cardio. He's a bit of a dog. Like
he is. He's relentless.
Yeah, he can keep coming forwards as well. He's that kind of gritty... mate, I might have to go cardio. Help us out in the chats here. I think I got to go cardio with Oleksiejczuk, to be fair. But I reckon it looks like that. Are you mad at that?
I'm not at all. Speed is a bit of a tricky one, personally, as well. Ash is going for cardio for Michał as well.
Yeah, I would give speed confidently to Holland, just because he's a bit of a sniper. And snipers just rapidly...
Yeah, and I guess we have seen Holland in 5-round fights before as well. I guess the question here is, we haven't seen Oleksiejczuk go 5 rounds, but is he capable of going across the 5, and how does he look across the 5? So that's not really something we've seen.
He's an animal in 3. So,
yeah.
He really is. I'm happy with that. I think on the night, will that reflect where I'd pick? Just because I've seen a few chinks in Oleksiejczuk's armor, a few chinks that will probably stop him at around 10 or 8 in the weight class, just because he opens his body up when he defends himself, and I think that is something that's going to be forever working against him if he doesn't sort of clog that little weakness of his. And I reckon Holland could probably exploit it on the night as well. So I would agree with what this gauge looks like. I'll probably go Holland on the night. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going Holland sub, and I will probably go with, what did I say for previous fights? Maybe a Randy Brown decision or a stoppage there.
Yeah.
And then Jailton Almeida, I think. I mean, he's probably going to likely get a finish, you think, on the betting line. But I'm actually going to go decision.
Yeah.
Purely because I think he's going to want to showcase some more striking in this fight.
And Jailton Almeida, yeah. I think, yeah.
He either gets a TKO victory or even knocks him down and then submits Romanov. But my guess would be a decision.
I'll side of that as well.
Just to be a little bit,
I would say Randy Brown, but I would say otherwise. Then I would say if it's going to be a TKO victory, it would be a bit of a in fashion of headshot dead. He would throw that kick up there and catch Zaleski Dos Santos as he's ducking his head. He does it a lot. It's habitual. And I reckon if you're watching tape, you can see it. And then you can, with the leg kicks of Randy Brown, you can really clock him. Throw your hand, get him to duck into one of those things. So I do think that's probably how he's going to get his victory.
Okay. Ash says, side, don't bother picking. You'll change.
You'll change?
Yeah, you'll change.
You mean apparently. You will change. You will change. You, apostrophe L. Double L, you will.
We do English lessons as well, fight breakdowns. Yeah. Anyhow, so moving on then to, as we've done some more predictions, the co-main event.
We are there. All right, so middleweight as well. We're not going far. We're staying here. It's Sean Strickland versus Paulo Costa. In the red corner, that's 28-6. And for Paulo Costa in the blue corner, it's 14-3. I just feel like Paulo Costa's lost a lot more than that, don't you?
Feels like it.
Does feel like he's lost more than 3, but I guess it's just his inactivity and his mouth just that rambles on. For
I mean they're not losses to hang your head on. The former champion Israel Adesanya, Marvin Vettori in a fight which was contested in a weight class above because I don't think he was 100% kind of committed to the fight really. And then Robert Whittaker last time out, skilled. Very quick striker, difficult to tag kind of guy. So, but against Strickland.
And also that Marvin Vettori one, I think was a bit controversial, wasn't it, if I remember correctly?
It was close. It was a long time ago since I watched that fight.
Yeah. But otherwise, the advantage is going to be leaning with Strickland for the reach advantage of 4. So it's not the craziest reach advantage that we've seen tonight, but it's something that we know he's going to be utilizing because he's that kind of stand-up striker who does a lot of his work behind the jab. So with these guys, I think one thing you notice, and this is a quite significant thing about this particular fight, is that it is 5 rounds. And when Strickland steps into the octagon, he's there for a marathon. He's not there for a sprint. He's peppering opponents, increasing intensity as the fight goes long. Defensively, he can be pretty sound. Usually, I mean, if you looked at that loss against Duplessis, he looked like he got hit by a bus, Duplessis. But, Strickland was relatively sound.
Well, he did have a big cut in that fight, which did bother him for quite some periods. Time, to be fair.
For the majority of it, though, he was able to stay respectively away from the danger. And I do think, he'd probably be able to do that tonight as well against Costa. But naturally, what weapons do you think he should have to look out for from Paulo Costa? Like, where's the big threat for him?
Big threat is power. I think when you look at Paulo Costa and you look at the rest of the people in this division, he probably possesses one of the most power out of some of the top guys. So I think that's going to be a bit of a big factor in this fight. It kind of plays into Strickland's game a little bit because Strickland's all kind of forward pressure. He's not really necessarily an in and out kind of striker. So, it's...
And the more you use that power, the more you gas.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's Strickland's going to want to try and melt Costa with his pressure. But at the same time, Costa kind of almost needs to meet him head on because that's kind of what Drickus did with Strickland. He didn't allow Strickland to just walk him down the whole fight. He was able to throw back in multiple different combinations. So. Yeah, this fight is really intriguing, and talking to Lucas Alexander about it. If you've not watched that video, make sure you go back after this live show and you hear what he's got to say, because he's Brazilian as well, and he's quite confident in Paulo Costa in this, because of the two styles. So. Yeah, I don't know, man.
You can't sleep on the fact, you made a really good point earlier, the fact that his losses aren't to like slums or slobs. Like is there. And that fight against Luke Rockhold, that was an absolute dog of a fight. I love that fight.
It was a dog of a fight. It was at altitude, which, both guys just kind of gassed and had nothing left at the end of the fight. But this was fighting Luke Rockhold, who wasn't as active as other fighters. And it was a fight he should have really won, really. Yeah. In this one, I'd say Strickland... probably, other than the Vettori loss, kind of is a good matchup for him. And I forgot where else I was going to go with this, to be honest.
I do have another question for you, though, on this one real quickly. Because you mentioned about to be wary of his power. But here's something. Costa's actually brought in Olympic medal boxers to train for this one.
Oh, hello.
Do you think he should be sharpening his boxing, or do you think he should be focusing on landing that high kick? Because we saw the tape that we watched earlier when that Robert Whittaker, high kick was pretty...
well, it was the spinning wheel kick which he landed on Whittaker, sick. Which was very well timed and very good. Costa's very good at using his kick off of the lead leg very well. He mixes it in with his boxing. But yeah, I think that's a smart move on Costa's side to bring in Olympic style boxers for this, to prepare. I like his attitude coming into this as well. It's kind of been something that's been questionable, and I think that he's kind of won a golden ticket for this fight here, because he shouldn't be fighting up again in the rankings, but he is, and I think that is because he is very demanding. He likes money too. He likes flashy things, I think, as well, and he's trying to really pick at the UFC and really be stubborn. So, and I think this is a decent matchup for him to get back in there, because if he wins, that's him for the title again.
He's up against, he's above Robert Whittaker, who he just lost to, and that's just going to rustle some feathers.
But if he loses, it's going to be big consequences from there.
Yeah. What's next for him? He's tried another weight class as well.
But we'll see when it happens, of course.
I don't even think I can see this one just being power versus cardio. I think you're pretty much right about that. And over 5 rounds, the pendulum of good fortune does massively swing in Strickland's favor. Do you reckon Costa intends on going a distance?
No.
No, it's just not gonna.
No, he's got to land that picture perfect shot. Really.
How long does he have to do it? I reckon he's got at least 2 rounds. After that, is the power even there?
Yeah, I struggle to see it, especially against someone like Strickland. But hey, who knows what Strickland's going to bring in this fight?
Yeah.
Is he going to be a bit cautious about the power? Or is he just going to kind of chin down, get straight in his face the whole time, and maybe even incorporate some wrestling, which we've kind of been calling for in the last few fights, really?
True. I didn't know there's a little chink in Strickland's armor, and that's just he reacts massively. You kick at him, he'll flinch. You throw your hand at him, he'll flinch, and that's exactly how Poirier actually got him knocked out was that first or second round, I believe it was. But yeah, he kind of went forward that hand, and that defense of Sean Strickland came out and down, and that opened his head up for that knockout blow. And I just think, if Costa's wise enough to that, he can probably do a very smart and calculated knockout. I think if you do want to knock out Strickland, you can't do it without being calculated. I don't know if Costa's got the fight IQ at that level where he can set something up to that level. He's a bit of a bruiser for sure. But does he have that fight IQ that he needs in order to, manipulate Strickland into doing what he wants him to?
Yeah, absolutely. Ash is going for Strickland decision. Just picks him apart, he says.
Safe bet.
Po Atan says, are you Arnold Allen? Oh, goodness sake. It's either Arnold Allen or it's Corey Sandhagen. Sorry, so either one's. And Brother B's in the house who says, "Ahoy, fellas! Ahoy, Brother B! Welcome on in, my man. Welcome on in.
Good to see you.
What's your predictions for this weekend's main card? Get them in as we hit on to the gauge now.
Yeah, of course. So,
big one. I mean,
striking.
Power we know is going to Paulo Costa.
I can give the striking then to Strickland. He's going to be all of it. He's going to be constantly with it. The output will be there. Let's have a look on the paper to see significant strikes. Oh, actually, Costa's competitive with that too. But yeah, ultimately, I just think.
But yeah, the landed per minute, that's surely got to be off.
Doesn't make sense, does it?
No.
Let's have a look. Fight time.
Strictly. I mean, that's the thing with the stats. It doesn't really make sense because
it depends on
Strickland's
fight time.
Got more fight time.
So
he's got more fights. So the stats are going to be diminished depending on how many fights you've had.
But per minute as well. So he's got more minutes in there. It's probably lowers it down a bit, just a little bit. But yeah, otherwise significant strikes. Yeah, it does look like Costa. I agree with significant strikes because Strickland, he likes to pepper people before picking up the intensity later on in rounds. So I do believe, significant strikes, you're going to see Costa landing more of those. But landed per minute, the output of Strickland is really good. So I would go striking for Strickland. Would you agree?
Yes, over a duration.
Speed I would give to Costa because I see it against Whittaker and I was impressed.
Yeah, agreed. Without a doubt. Cardio definitely to Strickland, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And in grappling, I'm going to give to Strickland as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't see it from.
You don't. Well, from neither really, but from people have said he's got some underrated grappling. We just don't normally see it in the octagon. So if we were in that particular scenario, I'd be pretty confident of Sean Strickland.
You kind of sit there every time he walks into the octagon thinking, is today going to be the day we see it? A bit like Jailton Almeida and throwing his hands.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy with that. I think on the night, I would, it's one of those ones, isn't it? It's decision via Strickland or it's knockout via Costa.
The fact that this is 5 rounds,
that's odd.
I'm confident it'll be Strickland that gets the decision win. If it was 3, I would be a little bit worried. As we saw in the Robert Whittaker fight, all right, one judge scored the whole 3 rounds to Whittaker, but the other 2 scored that first round to Costa. And that's purely because he landed the most significant blow of the fight, and that was within the last 10 seconds. So, sometimes you got to think on the power side of things, if you just land that one power shot that looks the most significant throughout the round, then you're going to win the round against the guy who's going to be peppering you. So absolutely. And, you just never know. But I just can't see it happening across the 5 rounds.
Yeah. And Strickland's going to be defensively acute, I think, in this one. I would go with Strickland on it, but here's the thing. What would you want? I would want Costa to win. I want him to just rustle the feathers at the top end of the division. I want him to go up there and be number 1 and that just shock the world. That's what I want. And then we can see some more interesting matchups off that. I don't think he'll stay up there for long, but I think that would be that would be exciting. That's what I would want, but I don't think it would happen.
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know. It's hard to tell who I would actually prefer to win. I can kind of see that. It would disrupt the division massively, but at the same time, I do kind of want to see a Strickland versus Duplessis rematch because, it was a very, very close fight and very hard to call. At the time, I felt that Strickland done enough to win, and I think a lot of other people did as well. It's probably 50-50 or 60-40 to Strickland there. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited, though.
All right, let's get into the main event on the card then. And we'll leave you guys to decide.
Main event. Brother B says, I give strength to Costa. I give tenacity and grappling to Strickland. I'm taking Strickland with a surprise TKO.
Surprise TKO. That would be a surprise.
That would be mad.
That would
nice,
be a
Brother B. Great predictions there, brother.
I like it. Okay, we're looking down the barrel of the lightweight division, finally leaving middleweight, and we are the reason we're all here tonight. Now, I was talking to JK a bit earlier on, saying this is potentially Khabib versus McGregor, but then he also pointed out it's Khabib versus Poirier, and it is just another version of that, really, just a bit later on in life. We got 25-1 for Makhachev in the red corner, and 30-8 for Dustin Poirier, who is the diamond and seasoned vet, of course. Now, advantages here, it's going to be pretty even on the feet. Size-wise, height-wise, reach-wise, it's not a lot in it other than the 2 inches that's afforded to Poirier. And I say that because he's going to want to be using the striking in this. He doesn't want to have that post-traumatic stress or that trauma he used to have of being taken down and being underneath this Dagestani-style wrestler as he had done previously with Khabib. So he's going to want to avoid that at all costs, in my opinion. I guess one thing I will say about this particular fight, though, is that, it is wrestler versus striker, but you can't ignore the fact that Makhachev is quite well-rounded. He's come quite well. You can't pin him as just a wrestler now. He's very well-rounded. He's a bit better than what Khabib. A lot of people are saying that he is better than the GOAT Khabib himself. So this would be this is the first fight where we would see Makhachev cross over with an opponent that Khabib has fought as well. Mm-hmm. So we really get to put him up against that yardstick and sort of measure how he comes out in this one. Do you think with Khabib in his corner, he will use the same blueprint that Khabib used? Or do you reckon he's going to really show us how much better than Khabib he really is?
Well, he needs to, but the thing what is most intriguing about this fight is the fact that Islam is coming into this very, very confident. And, he's been showing a lot of confidence in his striking game as of recent. The head kick knockout against Volkanovski is a prime example of that.
Yes.
But, and he said in his in the media today that, he feels that Dustin's coaches all know that he's going to lose this, and and he's just showing that kind of a bit more of an aura now, which is very good to see. But
confidence.
Can he get too confident on the feet? Is what I'm waiting to find out in this fight. Because personally, I think Makhachev needs to be relentless with the takedowns. He needs to be. We've got to edge Poirier the striking in this, without a doubt. He's so slick with his hands. His boxing is phenomenal. And I think he's able to close distance and land power.
It's that shot selection he's got, isn't it?
It is, absolutely.
The body to the head, it's brilliant.
But on the other flip side, you've got Makhachev, who's been very good at kind of utilising his kicks a lot recently as well,
Yes, we saw against Volkanovski, of course.
And he cracked Oliveira with his hands. So...
yeah.
So
Khabib is back and he's going to be in his corner.
Yeah.
But you don't think that he will be taking necessarily that same fighting style?
No, I think Khabib being in his corner is a bit of a preview, really, of what Makhachev's offense is going to be like, because we know what Khabib's going to be calling for. He's going to be calling for the takedowns. If you remove Khabib from that corner, then you start to kind of worry what his corner would be doing, what the game plan would be for Makhachev,
Yeah.
But surely he can't, get too carried away on the feet.
Yeah. The cool thing is he's got it there. He's always got it there to lean onto. And yeah, with Khabib in the corner, you're right, he's going to be spamming that takedown button all day long on that control pad. But in a way, and this was something I don't know, it's a bit of a long shot really, but in a way you could say, bear with me for a second, you could say that Poirier has already played the beta version of this, because back in 2019, of course, when he fought Khabib, he knows already as to how they fight, what to look out for effectively. Michael Bisping goes as far as to say that his that Poirier's resume does smoke that of what Islam Makhachev's is. And, he's a seasoned vet. He's a veteran. He's fought some of the best guys out there, no doubt. We want to see this guy stick around for a minute. Really, what I'm trying to get at here is, do you think the lessons what do you think the lessons are that he should take from that fight against Khabib in order to carry it in with him on this weekend?
Mainly be cage control, really, and trying to be a bit more aware of where you are. Because if Poirier is able to kind of do that and stay off the fence and remain in the center of the octagon, then I think he has a stronger chance. However, there are differences between Makhachev and Khabib's game. I think Khabib was much more relentless with his pressure than Makhachev. Makhachev's a bit more reserved, and it even shows on the ground as well. Khabib was just kind of like manhandling people, and relentless at doing it. Whereas Makhachev kind of takes his time, he sets things up to perfection, and he also has a bit more of a different takedown selection to his arsenal, I think. So, I think that what I'm saying is Poirier's got a lot more to worry about in this.
Yeah. Agreed. And I would just kind of paint it in a way that he might have had an advantage. The fact that he's fought someone like Makhachev. I don't think Makhachev's fought someone like Poirier yet. So this is probably why I would say he does have the experience going into this one for sure. Just how is he going to be using it, and how should we see him using it really? What we got there?
For God's sake, you guys! When I first clicked on the live stream, I thought the guy on the right was Arnold Allen. Goodness sake, what Arnold Allen today? One day it's Corey Sandhagen, the next day it's Arnold Allen. But welcome on in, brother. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're a UFC fan channel where fan opinions matter most, and make sure you stick around this weekend for a live watch along for this weekend's UFC 302. We got Ash who says Dustin via Guilly. Triple B says Islam has a serious advantage in his corner, Khabib. He also says Islam showed he can knock out, as we see with Volk, and a wide range of submissions, as we saw with Dan Hooker. He also says, I love Dustin. He looked amazing against BSD, but his vernacular of possible retiring is worrisome for me, especially a championship fight, especially with Islam. George Murray says Islam beat a midget, so his lightweight title reign starts now. Got to agree with George there. That's a good point. He ain't gonna want to box with Dustin. Absolutely not. So I would you like a 32 this weekend?
George Murray. Let's do it. Yes. This weekend we're gonna get the 32 off the menu in house as well. So we'll get it live on stream. And you can see me tucking into my winnings, George. Yeah, you can. But what we're going to do this time, hey, this is 302, so it makes sense to get the 32,
you guys can sort that out.
Another 32 on the 302. That'd be crazy. For those of you guys who don't know, me and George Murray, a couple of pay-per-views ago, had a bet on who's going to win. Li Liang or...
Right, the shorter version of the story was there was a Chinese up for grabs, and it was all came down to one particular number. So
Yang Jinan and Wei Li Zhang.
Yeah, so let's get back onto the fight then.
So I would say in this matchup, let's get the gauges up then, shall we?
Yeah.
Probably the best thing to go from here with it. I would say, you're going to see the striking from Poirier, and he's going to have to, I think, showcase some uppercuts, showcase some knees to put Makhachev on notice that those takedowns can't just come at distance. But that's it. You did mention something as well about
very key
why the Guilly might not be so easy.
Yes, the reason why the Guilly won't come so, because I think a lot of people or a lot of Poirier fans are getting their hopes up after that BSD win, and the reason why the Guilly's not going to come very easy against someone like Makhachev is because they're both in a southpaw stance. Now, when Islam drops down for that single leg, his head is going to be on the inside of Poirier's body, which doesn't open up for the guillotine. So, I think it's only going to come against the cage, similar to what we saw in the Khabib fight, because Poirier did get a guillotine attempt against Khabib, but that's only when he's kind of like standing in an orthodox kind of stance, defending the takedown. So it all depends on where Islam puts his head. But it's not going to be a matter of shooting in and jumping Guilly straight away. It's just not going to work that way, I'm afraid.
Yeah, just because the stance makes it a bit awkward. But certainly, I think if I was saying something that Poirier should take into this as well, I reckon just staying away from the cages, because that was where Khabib set up those takedowns a lot of the time. Yeah. And we all know that Makhachev can do it there too. But if we was going to say who's got the advantages where, I think quite off the bat we can say striking. Oh, that's not right. Striking and grappling that way.
Easy.
And then for the rest of it, it might get a bit choppy. Power, I think I've got to go Poirier on power.
Yes.
It's just how he gets it done most of the... Well, he can get it done that way most of the time. And it's submissions, of course, for Makhachev. Speed, though, I would... Oh, he's fast, man. Makhachev's relatively fast.
This is where things get really difficult.
It really is.
Because Poirier's got some good gas tank in him as well.
I might go cardio Poirier.
And he's fast.
And then speed for Makhachev, just because I was impressed at how he was able to light up Charles Oliveira. He had speed there.
This is where strength plays a massive part in this. Because strength would side on with Makhachev.
Power. You think he'd have power?
Strength.
Oh, if we had strength in him. Oh, yeah. He's so strong in the grappling exchanges. But that's why he's got grappling. Because
but he's more skilled in terms of technique when it comes to grappling.
And strength, though, too.
Strength as well, yeah.
I'll give it both in that sense. I think who did... Drew Dober up against him. Was it Drew Dober I'm thinking of now? He just really struggled. The frame of him was just difficult to maneuver him in those clinches.
Poirier's got a bit of a bigger frame in there. Before we decide this, maybe some guys in the chats can also help us, and let's hear what you think or who you're going to pick for speed and cardio for this fight. But whilst we do that, we'll see what everyone else is saying at the moment. Blockhead says, when I hear JK talk now, I keep anticipating the Renato Moicano voice to emerge. I'm not going to do it yet.
He's begging for it.
Colostrum says, Islam is too defensively sound on the feet. He will stay safe and take him down and drown him. And that's I can kind of see there as well. It also says Islam could use trips in the clinch. Then there's no Guilly. Absolutely, yeah. The way that I kind of see Islam putting his takedowns together the most would be from body lock and inside trip, or kind of against the cage, really, staying safe at all times. He said, George Murray says, Dustin almost caught Khabib. Islam takes more risk when rushing for takedowns. So if Dustin can read that, then it could cause issue, but JK Wright, the southpaw stance, will have an effect. Yeah, absolutely. That is true. And part of Khabib's, I guess, game plan was his relentlessness never gave you time to kind of think a lot of the times, in terms of your defense. Whereas, with Makhachev, because he's a little bit kind of slower, a little bit more methodical on the ground, then maybe Poirier can create scrambles in there. So it's going to be interesting to see. Strength from the IV drip, says George. Speed and cardio falls into the grey for both. For me, says Brockhead.
Yeah, it's hard.
Imran Khan. Yes, Imran Khan. Welcome on in, brother. Hit that like button. He says Islam gets the speed, held the least, absorbed strikes before. Ooh. Okay, interesting. George Mary's going speed, Dustin, cardio, Islam. Ooh, man.
It's mixed, isn't it? So Dustin for cardio.
And Brother B's agreeing with George for speed, Dustin, and cardio, Islam. Yeah, I do favour speed for Dustin.
Okay, so cardio,
I think
Islam. I would go vice versa. To be
cardio
fair.
is very difficult though.
I would go. So you want to go speed on Dustin? Because I would go Islam Makhachev for speed.
No, I wouldn't.
But Dustin is quite fast too.
Yeah. I think Dustin has packed on a bit of size since that Khabib fight as well, to be fair. Just subbed says Colostrum, y'all didn't do a full card prediction. We'll recap it at the end. You may have joined us a little bit late, but we did get to some predictions.
Yeah. This video, we'll also send out videos of the top predictions on this card. But we started on the main card. But we'll go back and recap after. Just for you, Colostrum, for subscribing. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, then. With cardio, I gotta press then this. Because that's not too silly. I will probably switch them around, say speed on Makhachev's side and cardio over for Dustin Poirier. But again, if you're looking at how the style of Makhachev in this fight is going to match up, we saw Khabib against Poirier. I know, granted, it was quite a few years ago, but the grappling style made it really difficult for Poirier and his cardio. He actually just had that grit to continue, but he was worn out because of all that grappling. So in this, we could probably see the better cardio being Makhachev if he's using his grappling effectively and wearing on the being just cardio taxing for Poirier, I think. So yeah, I can see how it can probably look that way in this one. So Daps says blue corner to win. Would you agree on the night?
No. I think Makhachev's going to get a submission. Maybe a late one. I don't know. I say maybe round 3.
The benchmark is Khabib done it in round 3.
He did.
Does he beat that? On par with that?
That's the thing. You'd expect a better performance from Dustin as well, perhaps, compared to that fight. But yeah, I think Makhachev's going to get a submission, whether it be head and arm choke. He's very good at that head and arm choke. Stopping, was it Oliveira and Drew Dober with that. We can see something similar, I'm afraid.
Do you think Dustin Poirier retires if he loses?
I mean, you got to look at it, right? Yeah. But it all kind of depends. I would like to see him stick around. I think there's perhaps a rematch with Max Holloway in the books, maybe.
He's lost twice to him though, right? He beat him twice, no?
No.
Is it just once? Is it just once?
Poirier beat Max, I think, twice.
Yeah, I thought he beat him twice.
Maybe.
I thought it was twice. He went up, but I think he only went up to one weight class once.
I know. I guess the caveat there is Max stepped up short notice on that second time.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Good from a bone there. I mean, for what though? The BMF belt makes sense. Yeah, for the BMF belt, it's worth it. Yeah. But then, I think Max has the power to really take it to any division he wants now.
Max can do whatever he wants,
he can
honestly.
do whatever he wants.
He's going to fight Ilya, and if he was to beat Ilya, I think he literally just does what he wants. Conor McGregor's next, and just pile on the pounds.
Hold those
pile on the pounds, because that's it. Yeah. All right, okay, some chats. Blockhead says, also they're live on Fight Day is always quality, just FYI. Absolutely, the watch along is an absolute blast. So yeah, don't watch alone. You got to make sure you watch along with a community of guys in the chats there. Get your devices on, fights on a TV, us on a tablet of some kind, or vice versa. Some guys like to do it the opposite way around and have us on the TV
because he's sexy. We're sexy.
Yeah, exactly.
So big and massive.
That's it. Ash says, don't forget to join the watch along. Yep.
Indeed.
George Morris says, I'm definitely late. Colostrum says, the way Benoit was controlling Dustin in the ground round 1 should be a concern for Dustin fans. And you're absolutely right there. I think so too. And Makhachev's not really one to kind of make slip-ups either. So Cesar Almeida versus Kopolov will be interesting. Who you got? Oh, I like Kopolov. I do like Kopolov. I think, oh man, that's such a tough fight as well. Kopolov's, I think, coming off a loss as well, isn't he? Yeah, Cesar Almeida, 5-0 though. Coming off a TKO victory against Dylan Budka. I think I saw that fight. But I like Kopolov. I'm hoping he gets back to winning ways because he's very talented.
Yeah, he's good.
And very good against strikers as well. Fell short against Anthony Hernandez. Anthony Hernandez is just so good at mixing things up and is very relentless with his pressure. But prior to that, he was on an absolute tear. So got to root for him to get back onto winning ways.
Doing the most.
Yeah. All right. So that's basically
power, isn't he?
Yeah. That's basically the gauge then for the main event. Let's go back to the card. Just recap some of these predictions that we've gone through side by side. With the first fight on the main card.
This is for you, Colostrum. So if we went down to the start.
Yeah, so I think I said Randy Brown, probably a knockout or a decision.
I think it's going to be by style of headshot dead, catching Dos Santos as he ducks into it. So one of those leg kicks from Randy Brown gets the job done, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've got Jailton, Almeida, either a submission, but like I said, I think he might end up going the distance in this because he might want to try out some new tools in this fight against Romanov. So, and I think he's going to be fairly confident on his back. If he was to get taken down by a Romanov who, was fairly standing against Blagoy Ivanov in his last fight. So that's where I see this mostly contested on the feet, and I think Jailton will get a decision.
Yep, I'm much on board with that as well. Much the same. Huge opportunity for Romanov to really climb the rankings and go into 7 here. But I do think Almeida will probably drag it along, get a decision most likely.
Yep. Kevin Holland against Michał Oleksiejczuk. Kevin Holland. I've gone submission in this.
I think
because you look at Oleksiejczuk's previous losses, most of them against decision. I think Holland cracks him, gets the sub.
Yeah, I think he's fallen on some tough times lately, but he had some tough opposition as well. Style matchups that haven't really benefited him. So I think this is one that does benefit him finally. So yeah, Kevin Holland gets it done for me in the distance. Co-main,
Sean Strickland against Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa has a great opportunity here. I think that he can do some damage on the feet, and I think I like this style matchup for him. However, I am going with Sean Strickland because it's 5 rounds. I think he can withstand the power of Costa in the exchanges and just kind of melt him as the fight goes on.
That's just it, yeah. The pendulum of fortune swings massively in Strickland's favour as the fight goes longer, just because he's a cardio versatile tank himself. And we've seen Costa gas massively. I do think there's some opportunities for Costa, though. It's going to be in rip into the body and just going aggressively quite quickly. And I think he could potentially catch him, but I'm playing it safe, Strickland for the distance. I reckon he stays defensively acute and gets out of danger. So if he survives the first 2 rounds, the chances of Strickland winning it is far more increased.
Main event, Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. I'm going with Islam Makhachev, submission round 3. I don't think it's going to be a fast-paced fight. I think Makhachev's going to really slow it down, get his takedowns, make Poirier try and work out of his positions, and just kind of slowly chip away at him. So I do think it's going to be a similar kind of scenario to the Khabib fight. But I think Poirier will have some better success in transitions, perhaps.
And that was a question I had for you a bit earlier, just real quickly, because if I remember correctly, the odds in this fight for Poirier versus Khabib, just hidden quickly off screen for you, were about plus 300. He was about plus 300, Dustin Poirier was. What do you reckon the odds are in this one now, according to UFC website, for Poirier versus Khabib at this point in time? Makhachev.
Well, Makhachev's going to be heavily favourite. I don't really take too much notice of odds, to be honest.
Actually, it's plus 490, so it's actually a bit more. So he's more of an underdog against Makhachev than he was against Khabib at the time, which is quite interesting. Okay. And Makhachev's
I think
favorite.
Part of that does weigh
sense?
Heavily because of that Khabib fight. But personally, I think a lot of that weighs not heavy on it.
And how he performed there.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So maybe it does make sense that that's the case. But on the night, I'll probably go siding with those figures there, to be honest, because Makhachev, seeing it before, I reckon he can really bring those styles that really give Poirier the most problems. Yeah. And I can't quite see a way for Poirier to get it done. So I'll be with Makhachev on the night. Although, so excited if Poirier does it. I would love that. I would love it. I would absolutely love it. I'll be happy to take the L on that one if Poirier pulls out the fire and gets the win.
Colostrom says, I can see that, but Santos did good against Renat. I was surprised. He did. He did. He absolutely did. He did shock us. I think it's going to be quite a closely contested fight. But Randy Brown, I think, decision. Just because he's very awkward and long and very good with his weapons. He also says, we never know what Holland we're going to get. He's unpredictable, and that's true. And that's why I think a lot of fans like to watch him, even though you a lot of the fights get made and you're like, he's going to lose, but it's going to be entertaining anyway. It's like the MVP fight. You just kind of knew that, all right, he may have a bit of size over MVP or whatever. And against Wonderboy as well. You're like, against these technical guys, he's Wonderboy was
his fault. He was winning against Wonderboy and he threw it away, in my opinion, and Wonderboy got the dub. But that was largely because, Holland was playing games within games. And you play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Absolutely. George Murray says, Strickland versus Costa winner. Fights loser of Whittaker versus Hamza.
I like that.
Mate, that will make sense in terms of timing wise. Obviously, we'll get into it more in the aftermath show on Tuesday. Yeah, we'll dissect it in the Aftermath show come Tuesday. Obviously, timing-wise, things are going to marry up quite well. And the winner of Whittaker versus Hamzat would probably put themselves in a bit of a title contention, depending on what happens between Dricus du Plessis and Israel Adesanya. Yes. Plus, Sai, he was interim champ.
Poirier, yeah. When Poirier was fighting against, so probably why the odds were as they were at the time.
Yeah.
Is what he's probably saying.
True that.
Yeah, and the way that he lost that fight as well, like just seeing how he really poured himself out there on the canvas, like he put everything into it. He's actually getting a second chance at this, if you think about it. He's having an opportunity to go back and right his wrongs of the past and really get that, what he really wanted, and he couldn't quite pull through. So I do think we're going to see Poirier just put everything into this, knowing he's had a second chance. And that's what I'm excited to see. That's what gets me excited. I reckon there could be a very interesting upset to the apple cart, and I would welcome it. But otherwise, I'm just playing it safe with Makhachev.
All right. Yeah. Okay. That's about all we've got time for.
Indeed,
so, guys, do make sure you hit the like button if you've not done so already, and hit the subscribe button on the channel if you are new and hopefully we see you more often in these live shows that we do. We'll be live this weekend for a watch long for the main card of UFC 302. Then on the Monday, I'll be live for a news show, dissecting some of the post pay-per-view gossip, and then on Tuesday I'll be live to go through some future matchups for the winners and losers.
You don't want to miss it, honestly.
Don't. So make sure you got the notifications bell rang on our channel. Don't miss a beat, and we'll see you on the next one.
Indeed.
Wonderful.
Take care, guys. A lot of love. Bye.
Bye.